Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've posted. 3.0s came out, but got a new microphone, hope you can tell. Let's just jump straight into it. So, first you're going to want to do is create a new project. So this is supposed to be kind of like asteroids, but all controlled by the mouse. So, first, let's draw our sprite. And I'll come back to in a second when that's drawn. Alright. Alright, welcome back. So we finished up the sprite. Set it to a size we like and rotate it so that the spaceship will follow the mouse correctly. Want to make sure it's pointing to the right with the head right at this little crosshair. Now that we've done that, let's go in and make the background black so we can see what we're working with. And I like to use bitmap for this because it's easier. You can just do that. Alright, so after we finish coloring in the background, we're gonna go into this sprite, which is our main ship, and so this is gonna be the one with the motion script. So we're gonna say when green cloud clicked, forever point towards mouse pointer, and then here's the tricky part: move 10 steps, but we're gonna change this with distance to mouse pointer divided by 20 steps. So what this means is that it will always move, it'll always be slowly moving towards, but if you move it really far away, it moves fast, and then as it gets closer, it moves slower and slower. So this kind of gives it a cool mechanic that I've noticed not a lot of games have. So now we have our ship, just follows your mouse around, and now we're ready to make the shooting mechanism. So we're gonna say, now we're gonna make a new sprite. This one will just be a little ball. Let's make it, I don't know, purple. Now zoom in. Make a perfect sphere. There. Go. Now, this is what it's gonna look like. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. Alright, I kinda like that. So, the script for this sprite is we're gonna say when green flag clicked, forever, go to sprite 1. And actually, let's name these. Let's go to ship and bullet. So forever go to ship. So that's gonna send it right to the point of the ship. And then we're gonna say point towards mouse pointer. Now the second script we're gonna have, this one has a few. We're gonna say when green flag clicked, forever, if mouse down, then we're gonna want it to create a clone of itself. It's down here. And then to make sure people don't just spam it, say spam the bullets, I'm gonna say wait 0.25 seconds. And then you can adjust that. It just depends on how fast you want the character to be able to shoot. Then we're gonna say wait until not mouse down. So now when I go, I can create little clones as I click. And if I click and hold, it doesn't make one, but if I rapidly click, it keeps making them. Now we need to make it so the bullets move. So let's go into when I start as clone, show, point towards mouse pointer, and then say repeat until we're going to say touching edge. So it goes all the way until it touches the edge. So getting used to Scratch 3. And then move 10 steps. And at the end, after it's hit the edge, it's going to delete itself so we don't cause lag. So now, there we go, we have our shooting mechanism. And we can actually just say when green flag clicked, hide. So we don't have, there we go, we don't have the dot at the tip. So now, we should be able to go around, shoot, and the bullets disappear. Alright, so the next step is we need to make some sort of enemy. Let's say add sprite, and for now, let's just do a red square. So let's go to red, maybe a darkish red. You can make this whatever you want, use intricate art. I don't know, I'm just not that good at art. Just gonna draw a square. Oh my god, okay, finally, we're gonna create the red square. That's way harder than it should have been. Create the red square. Let's say 300, maybe 200. All right, 250. Let's say 250. Now, the scripts for this is probably the most complex. So we're gonna say what we want it to do is, as the game starts, they're gonna randomly spawn in around the edges, come towards the player. If they get hit by a bullet, they delete themselves, and if they hit a player, the game ends. Now, we also want to make it spawn in at random places, not at the same place every time, and we want them to spawn in more frequently as the game progresses, so it gets continually harder. So to start, let's say when green flag clicked, let's hide this original one, and we're gonna say forever. Let's make a variable called random. And so what this is gonna be able to do is it's just gonna forever randomly switch between the numbers 1 and 4, and then it's gonna wait 0.5 seconds, 0.2. Alright, so now if we press start, you can see random is switching the numbers every 0.2 seconds, so we have a different number every time. Now, we say when green flag clicked, and we're gonna say create forever, create clone of myself, and then wait 1 second. And we're also gonna create one more variable called game speed. So, and we're gonna say wait game speed seconds. So we'll have game speed slowly decrease as this game progresses. So we're gonna say another one. When green flag clicked, set game speed to 0.7, and then forever set game speed to game speed times 0 0.999. So what this is gonna do is, as the game progresses, you can look at over at game speed, and it just slowly lowers as the game progresses. So this will just make the game harder and harder as it goes on. Alright, now for the last script in this sprite, for now, this is the longest one. We're gonna say, what does it do when it starts as a clone? So when I start as clone, it's gonna want to show, because we already hit it before. And then you're gonna say, if random equals 1, then we're gonna want to go to, let's pull out a random. We're gonna want to go to -240 and pick random -180 to 180. So now we've created what happens when random equals 1. So what this is gonna do is, when random equals 1, when this starts as a clone, it's gonna go to -240x, which is right here, and then it's gonna pick a random y value. So it's gonna go either from the top or to the bottom, so anywhere on this line. So now we're basically gonna copy this again. Let's say 240 this time, random equals 2. Duplicate this, and on these we're gonna randomize the x. So -240 to 240, -240 to 240, and y -180, 180, 3, 4. So if random equals 2, it's gonna go to this side, 3 the bottom, and 4 the top. So theoretically, when we press start, we should just see a bunch of squares popping up around the edges. And I just hid the variables because we don't need them anymore. Alright, so now that we press start, we see these squares popping up at random edges, and they should slowly increase in speed as the game progresses. Now, the next part of this script is, we're gonna say repeat until touching, let's actually add a or, until touching sprite 1 or ship, or let's say touching this color. So just to do that, let's put that color on, and let's say or touching color. Go to this eyedropper tool. Now I should be able to go over and select what color we want. So let's go right there. You can rehide this. So let's go back here. So it's either gonna touch here, here, and then, but until it touches one of those, it's gonna point towards the ship, and then it's going to move 2 steps. Now we're gonna say if, so this is gonna go until it touches this ship or it touches this color. So we're gonna say if it's touching this color, then it just deletes the clone because it hit a bullet. We're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna say if touching ship, and let's make a broadcast called end game, or game. Let's make a broadcast called game over. Alright, so it's gonna broadcast game over, and it's gonna stop. Now let's add one more variable called game on question mark, and we're gonna say we're gonna add this variable to different places, because once the game ends, we want it to stop doing all of this. So let's go back, and we're gonna say if game on. Let's make this first. If game on equals, say 1 equals it's on, and 0 equals it's off. So we're gonna say if game on equals 1, then it's gonna do this. So it doesn't keep creating sprites when the game's over. And then it's also gonna, let's add one more sprite that says forever, or no, we're gonna add a when I start as clone, if game on forever, no, okay, we're gonna add a when I start as clone forever, if game on equals 0, then it's gonna delete the clone, or no, it's gonna stop other scripts in Sprite. So now when game on equals 0, then all of this should stop, and we'll actually say broadcast game over, set game on to 0, and when green flag clicked, set game on to 1. Now the final thing to add is, let's add the if game on thing to this sprite as well. So now the last thing, let's add the if game on sprite to this one as well. So we'll say if game on equals 1, so you can't fire once the game stops, and we'll copy this over to game on equals 1, so you can't move once game on ends. Now let's add one more sprite. Let's go in and say, let's title this end game, say pixel font, kind of like that. Make this bigger font, center it, alright, pretty well centered. Now, and let's actually change the color to white. So, there we go. Let's up the size a little bit till we get to a point where we like, and we'll say move to 0, 0. Now this, or game over actually. Game over. That looks better. There we go. So let's make this smaller. Game over. Alright, so when the game over, we're gonna say when I receive game over, show, and when green flag clicked, hide. So let's test this out now. If we start, here we go, we can move around, they come at us, we can shoot them, keep going, and what happens if we get hit? Game over, and everything stops. Can't shoot, they don't move. Now it's still a little boring because it just stops. Let's add another sprite. It's basically just one white dot in the middle. Let's make this a small pen. Actually, so we're gonna make one small white dot in the middle. So now that we have this little dot, we're gonna say when green flag clicked, forever, go to ship, and we're gonna say also hide. Now, when I receive game over, switch, let's actually copy this a few times, and we'll color it different colors to make it interesting. So we'll say, let's do a red one as well. Duplicate that again, and we'll do a orange one. Like that. So now we have a white, red, and orange dot. So when I receive game over, it's going to forever create clone of itself. When I start as clone, now we're going to create one more variable, speed, for this sprite only. Now this is important because it's going to be a variable that only applies to certain, that only applies to the clones, and it needs to be different for every clone. So let's say okay, and now we have this variable speed. So it's going to say when I start as clone, set speed to pick random, let's say 1 to 10.1. What this will do is when you add a 0.1, it will make the number have many decimal places. Instead of, if you have no point, it's always going to be a single number. So we'll say 10.1. This will just make it more interesting. So we're going to say pick random 1 to 10.1, switch costume to pick random 1 to 3, and then we're going to say show, go to Sprite 1, or ship, go to ship, point in direction, point towards, or no, and we're going to say point in direction, pick random 1 or 0 to 360, so any direction, and then repeat until touching edge, move speed steps. So this way all of them will be moving at a different speed. Move speed steps, and then when it hits the wall, it's going to delete this clone. So what this should look like, we're playing, and then we end. There we go. And now we have this cool effect of exploding. Let's actually have this go to the front too. So this is on top of everything. So playing. There we go. So now we have this explosion effect. If we want to get even fancier, we can say set size to pick random 50 to 150. And let's say, here we go, playing around, boom. So now we're going to have different size particles. And actually we can even do this more extreme. Let's say 20 to 200. There we go. Now, this is kind of weak. There's not quite enough of them. So what we can actually just do, we duplicate this, say 3 times. And now, when this ends, it's going to send out a ton of these because there's 3 sprites doing the exact same thing. This actually creates a really cool graphic effect. I really like it. And that's pretty much the entire game. Let's go and view our final product. So we're going around, we have our ship. We can shoot bullets at the enemies. They die when you hit them. And when it ends, it creates this cool boom effect. Yeah, I guess, thanks for watching the video. I guess if enough people want me to make a second, I could add a score, power-ups. I don't know, it'd be pretty cool. And tell me in the comments if you like or don't like Scratch.mit.edu. I'm enjoying it. I find some things a little annoying, but not enough to make me switch. and stop doing Scratch. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.